Hey everyone, it's the Dr. Jason West Clinic program, and we're talking about herbs for weight loss. That's what our topic is going to be tonight. We started off with what you can do to make sure that you don't expand laterally over the holidays. So this is part 2 of our metabolism program. And so if you missed that, you can go over to drjasonwest.live and pick up that replay. I've also got a great ebook over there for free. All you have to do is register. You get the ebook. You're also going to see this book right here, Herbs for Weight Loss. It's something that you can download. It's all about the 6 herbs that I think are the best for weight loss. And immediately someone's going to be like, well, what did you forgot about, Dong Quai. You forgot about, echinacea. You forgot about St. John's wort or some of these other herbs that are usually used for immune system or they're used for nerve health, but they do have a metabolism component. And the answer is there's a ton of really good phytonutrients and herbal adaptogen therapy. These are just some of the ones that I like. So without further discussion, let's jump right into our program. I'm going to be going right off of the free ebook that we have. It's all about herbs for weight loss. And I want to shout out to a couple of our sponsors. Number one, want to thank my team over at the West Clinic, Dr. Nelson, the world's greatest nurse practitioner in Shelby Stoddard, and the rest of our team. They make the podcast possible, that we're reaching out, and we're really getting to almost 30,000 people a month on our program, something that we're really excited about. And the reason why I decided I was going to do this program is because the 3 most bothersome comments on our program are, number one, why isn't there more of a functional medicine, alternative medicine component in the healthcare system? And I always say it's broke. There's great people in the system. Our system's just messed up. That's frustration number one. The second one is I wish I would have found you or someone like you sooner. And then the last one is how do we not start over if we start getting health and not slide back? And so that's the purpose of the podcast. My West Clinic team makes it happen. So big shout out to the team. The second one, I want to thank our sponsor, Personalized Organ Tissues and Cells. We actually got together with POTC and we created a herbal program. You can get all of the herbs that I'm going to talk about on the internet or at the health food store. If you want them all into one system, we call it MetaSyst. It's kind of a play on words for medicine, where we have Bacopa and banana and Tongkat Ali and some of these other herbs inside of our system. We have that through POTC. It's something that we did a custom formulation for. I wanted to give a big shout out to POTC. Now, let's jump right into what we talk about of herbs for weight loss. And again, you can pick this up for free, drjasonwest.live. I can see, let me see if I can bring it up right over here so we can see what it looks like when you get on drjasonwest.live. Okay, here it's coming up. And like I said, we have a couple ebooks on weight loss. This is today's program right here, Herbs for Weight Loss, instant access. It's a free ebook. We're going to be talking about the herbs, some kind of general recommendations and things. And this program is specifically for people that are doing things right and just can't seem to move the needle as much as they want. So they would like something a little bit more juicy. And what I mean by juicy is something that helps them to get over that little engine that could scenario. And so that's what we're going to be talking about in today's program. The 6 herbs that I think are the best for weight loss. And so like going right into the book here, let's see, let's pull this up. Let me get rid of some headers. And here we go, you guys. So herbs for weight loss. This is something that we work on consistently as a team. And the free ebook, we talk about these. Now, whenever it is a weight loss issue, we want to talk about balance. So some things for emotions, trying to clear that up. That's number one. Also making sure that you're getting enough water. That's number 2. I think most cravings come from 1, a water deficiency, and number 1, a mineral deficiency. And then I guess number 1B would be essential fatty acid deficiency. If your body doesn't have these, what it does is it goes out and it tries to find the missing link. It creates this satiation response, which means that they're looking for something. And so one of the best ways to make sure that you reduce sugar cravings and cravings for carbs is you got to get balanced. So blood tests, hormone tests, I believe, make it easier for weight loss. The first herb, though, I want to talk about, you guys, is Bacopa. Now, the reason why I like Bacopa, and there's two components of things that I think will be really good for weight loss, but Bacopa is my favorite thing for energy because it helps the adrenal glands. And so if you haven't heard of Bacopa, I put a write-up in here. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger. Okay. I've seen some really good outcomes for anti-fatigue. It helps with your emotions, particularly anxiety. And it doesn't mean that if you have anxiety under control or a medicine that it's going to throw you over the top, because it really helps to bring a sense of control into the body. So it improves cognitive function. It increases concentration. The name for Bacopa is water hyssop, and it's an Ayurvedic medicine. It was discovered, basically, obviously in India, different part of the world, but the main focus of it is it helps with energy, and it helps to get your emotions straight. I take Bacopa every day because of all the things that come into the office. Like, I don't care about gray hair. I don't care about wrinkles. I've made my peace with the age train. I just want to age as slow and healthy as possible. And most people are under chronic stress, myself included. I think this is the best that I've ever been, particularly in the 20 years that I've been in practice, but it still keeps up. It's like that saying that, success is rent and it's due every day. Like, good health is rent and it's due every day. And so what Bacopa, and particularly the active component of Bacopa, these Bacopicides, help with neuronal synthesis and the restoration of nerve synapses. Now, the reason why that this is so important is because so many times with chronic health problems, and particularly weight, what happens is our nervous system gets a memory associated with it. Like, it just is saying, okay, we're going to live here. And your body's like, no, or your mind's like, I want to live here. And there's conflict. It happens with complex regional pain syndrome. It does with scar tissue, or what they call interference fields. And sure enough, it does the same thing with weight loss. So why I decided to hey, I want to tell everybody about Bacopa is because it's good for your nervous system. And I just love what it does for your adrenal glands and for your energy, because we're all struggling with our energy levels. And so Bacopa has this really neat component where it helps the adrenal glands. It's good for breathing. The dosage is somewhere around 50 to 100 milligrams. Now, there are a couple things you got to be careful with it. You want to be careful if you're taking any type of prescriptive medication, and also if you're having any type of painkiller medicines that can interfere with that. So you want to you need some medical oversight with Bacopa if you have any risk factors. Now, if you're not on any prescriptive medicines, I think it's a really neat medicine to be aware of. Now, jumping right into the weight loss herbs, I just love a couple of these. Number one, Banaba. So Banaba comes from basically the Philippines. Again, an Asian plant. It's used in Philippine treatment for diabetes, and so automatically what comes to my mind is blood sugar regulation, metabolic syndrome, and it's really helpful when you can decrease cravings and you can really level off blood sugar. It's going to be so good for your metabolism and for weight loss. Again, if you guys are just joining us, what we're doing here is we are looking at herbs for weight loss, and we're talking about the 6 herbs that are kind of my favorite. There's a whole bunch of these. And by the way, if you start taking these herbs and you're not doing other things like being aware of what time you're eating and portion control and getting enough water in your system, this doesn't substitute for that. But I do think it's really good for that person that's like, man, I'm doing so many things right, I feel like I'm doing everything that's suggested to me from a lifestyle standpoint. I just can't get off of this plateau where I'm at. Then this is a good consideration of that herbs for weight loss. And again, this is the free book that's available over at drjasonwest.live. So getting back to Bacopa. Bacopa also has some really neat components because it helps to reduce inflammation, which we know causes so many different health problems, whether it's arthritis or it's gastritis or it's thyroid problems. All of these anti-inflammatory, antioxidant problems, I've seen some good responses to Bacopa. The other thing that Bacopa does is it has some active components of what they call PPAR, MAPK, NFK, some of these other, scientific acronyms, but it helps to really enforce or improve liver activity. And it also shows that this study that the patients took 48 milligrams of banana extract, it's called glucosol, and exercise dieted. They lost twice the weight of the people who used exercise and diet alone. Again, for people that are really working on their metabolism and can't really move the needle, Bacopa is a really neat effect. It also helps to reduce inflammation. There's some studies in a laboratory that shows it helps with osteoblasts, which is in the osteoporosis prevention protocol. There was some antiviral components against the human rhinovirus or the cold virus. Now, Bacopa is relatively safe. You do want to just, again, check with anybody if you're on a prescriptive medicine program. But Bacopa is really, really a fun herbal medicine to use for blood sugar, cravings, anti-inflammatory. And that leads us to the next one. Now, I always say I have a favorite vitamin. I have a favorite mineral. I have a favorite essential fatty acid. But the next one coming up, you guys, is kind of fun because it's Mordica chantera. Now, I probably slaughtered the name. The common name for it is bitter melon. And so what bitter melon does is it's really good for supporting diabetes. If you're on a diabetic medication, I've seen bitter melon help and improve that. It doesn't replace it. And certainly if you're taking a diabetic medicine, do not stop and take bitter melon. That's not advised. But one of the things that I have seen it do is really help in intermittent fasting. It helps with weight loss in my clinical experience. And it's also good for your lipid system, the cholesterol. It comes from East Africa, the Caribbean, and South America. What it does is it helps to improve glucose tolerance in some studies. It also helps in insulin secretion by the pancreas and a couple other different studies. It reduced the A1C in yet another study. And it also seems to help the hypoglycemic trend or switch. So a lot of people, if they get hungry or if they go too long between meals, what happens is they get hangry, number one. Sometimes they can get nauseous or fatigued, or they can get a headache. And so anything that helps to stabilize blood sugar is really beneficial. Now, my favorite thing to do for that is to eat small quantities of protein and then augment that with healthy fats, avocado. I really like bone broth and some of those things that help to get healthy fats in the system. So kind of a combination of keto and paleo, but also some stabilization. One, I really like magnesium, but the other one, this bitter melon, I started using about 2 or 3 years ago, and I've seen some good outcomes with bitter melon. 200 to 500 milligrams of standardized extract. It seems to work better in this combination, the standardization, which you can see inside of the book. It's been reported safe in the recommended dosages. And if you're having cardiac concerns, you want to make sure you're checking with your healthcare provider, particularly atrial fibrillation. Now, that being said, atrial fibrillation, I think, is a deficiency in vitamin B number 4. We've talked about that in our series, Everything Heart. And so It's something that we really want to be aware of, but you also, there's some neat things that you can do if there is a heart concern. Now, moving over to something called Coleus. So what Coleus is it's another melon that has some things that are good for your heart, also skin conditions like psoriasis and eczema. And remember, skin conditions are an external manifestation of an internal problem. Almost always there's an internal imbalance component. Now, I recognize there's contact dermatitis. If you come in contact that you're allergic to or chemicals, like you're going to go from the outside in, but so many skin problems go from the inside out. And not only is Coleus good for that, but it's also, again, in that metabolism pathway where it helps with weight loss. So it's part of the mint family. It's been used in Ayurvedic medicine for 3,000 years, and it's in the heart and the lung, basically energy pathways. Now, the reason why we talk so much about heart when it comes to metabolism is the heart is the first muscle to show stress or nutritional inadequacy, and it's usually the first muscle to respond. And whether it's a advanced nutritional therapy like protomorphogen, or it's something like an herbal medicine like Coleus, if you can get the energy back into the body, then what happens is so many positive things improve. Well, Coleus is kind of new herb to the United States, even though in Ayurvedic medicine it's been 3,000 years. One of the things that it does when we start looking at the literature is it stimulates basically a neurotransmitter that binds to the cell membrane. So again, it's in the nerve system pathway. It also has some help with the thyroid function in increasing insulin levels. It helps with mast cell syndrome. It's really good for allergies and inflammatory pathways. And again, we're back to skin problems. And I've seen some good outcomes with Coleus and adult onset acne. That's kind of a complicated condition where this is not the only answer, but it's one of the things that I like to go to. And then they give you some standard dosages on this. It's reported safe and recommended dosages. And then when it gets into the pregnancy or breastfeeding, it's not recommended. You have to be careful if you have any ulcers or if you're on prescriptive medications. But Coleus, it's really, really good for blood pressure. It's helping weight loss. In my experience, I've seen some good outcomes with skin problems, allergies, adult set acne. Now, coming down the home stretch, and if you guys are just joining us, we are talking about herbs for weight loss. We've covered 4 of the herbs. And again, this program is for people that are already doing the lifestyle modifications, which is they're doing their best to manage stress, they're trying to get enough water, they're eating healthy, and it's like their body won't let go of whatever plateau they're on. So some people, they'll get on a weight loss program and they'll drop, 15 or 20 pounds. And then the minute they deviate, either they'll start to go up in weight or the body kind of recalibrates. And so we want to move that set point. So we're talking about herbs for weight loss, and we're moving over to mucuna. Now, what mucuna does is it's in the neurologic pathway. It helps with blood sugar and specifically metabolic and weight loss in my clinical experience. So we're going to hit on a couple studies that are available, but it's basically grown as a crop cover to increase nitrogen content in the soil. So initially it was kind of like, hey, it's a fertilizer precursor, long history of Ayurvedic medicine for Parkinson's disease. So it has a neuroprotective effect. It contains L-Dopa, and it's used to make dopamine, which is so basically, it's such a roller coaster when any addiction pathways, and particularly basically the finding, it's a rush, and food is in that pathway. That's why there's chemical addictions, there's drama and stress addictions, alcohol addictions, nicotine, caffeine, and guess what? Food is an addiction as well. And so that dopamine, it's in the motivation and reward pathway. It's the sleep, mood, attention, learning. So one of the studies showed that 60 individuals with Parkinson's disease found that administration of mucuna significantly reduced their symptoms. Another study in 8 individuals with Parkinson's found that the administration of about 30 milligrams decreased abnormal movement patterns, and it seemed to work better than the drug levodopa in the study. Also, it's so good for regulating blood sugar. Now, the old way of saying that blood sugar problems were a concern was to say everybody has hypoglycemia or reactive hypoglycemia. I think there's a better pathway or better way to describe blood sugar fluctuation and how it increases or influences the nervous system by calling it neuroglycopenia. What does that mean? When the nerves don't have enough or the right type of sugar, they fail. And so I love that description of neuroglycopenia. And so when we can help to regulate blood sugar, it's so good for the metabolism and weight loss pathways. So again, mucuna is really good. It helps to work with manganese and zinc and lecithin to help with blood sugar regulation. That's the hypothesis. It also is helpful for your sexual health pathways. And immediately someone's going to be listening to this like, well, I don't want to give that to my, teenager or my kid that is struggling with metabolism and making them hypersexual. It doesn't do that. When you have healthy sexual hormones, everything works better. And just because we're improving progesterone, estrogen, testosterone, DHEA, or cortisol, and that's just a fraction of the hormones available, it doesn't mean that someone is going to become hypersexual. Human studies also found that it's helpful for psychological stress at low milligrams, so 5 milligrams, it's really good for, 5 grams of psychological stress. For 30, it seemed to help with the dyskinesia associated with Parkinson's disease. It also has antioxidant component, and it helps that hypothalamus pituitary gonadal axis. So the gonads are the organs that are regulating female and male hormone pathways. Somewhere in that 100 to 200 milligrams is a standardized extract is what the studies are showing. You don't want to take it if you're pregnant or breastfeeding. It's not good in psychosis or schizophrenia, and so you want to be careful with that pathway. And there was one study that showed that if you're struggling with prostate cancer, it could be a risk factor. So again, you want to work with someone that can help you to get a good pathway. And then the last herb that we're talking about for weight loss, Tongkat Alai, if I'm even saying it right. And I just love going through these pathways: energy, fatigue, stress, cortisol, weight loss, male health, testosterone balance, which is kind of funny because I was just visiting with a patient earlier this week, and we did a profile and we looked at her testosterone levels, and she was like, Dr. West, I think you have me mixed up with someone else because women don't have testosterone levels. And I said, no. Men have estrogen, women have testosterone. Depending on your plumbing really depends on which is the dominant hormone. But when we talk about Tongkat Alai, we have some different things on testosterone balance and infertility and sports performance enhancement, but it doesn't give women male sexual characteristics, and it doesn't make men sexually hyperactive. What it does is it helps to balance out the male and the female hormones. Particularly, I've seen some really good outcomes in women with this when they're lacking stamina, muscle health, and even libido. So again, and parents that are listening to this, it doesn't make your kids hypersexual. It just helps female and male hormones to be healthier. So clinical uses, the main active of Tongkat Alai is uricamone. And it's a quasinoid. It enhances basically your hormone production. It helps with enhancement of male infertility, if that's an issue. It also in decrease is testosterone. If it's too high, if it's too low, it helps to bring it up. And I've seen some really good outcomes, again, with athletic performance It's not a performance enhancing drug. It's actually a really, really benefit for stamina and use for, I see a lot, again, of nervous system health and mental concentration, mental stamina. So you guys, that's kind of a real quick review. There's a bunch of references that I put in our ebook on the different, where we got information on Bacopa and Banaba and Tonkat Alai and Mucuna and Coleus. Those are kind of the herbal things. Now, all of these herbs are available, of course, through the internet. They are also available through the health food store. I think it's really good to have some of those awareness that there are things that can help you to get off center. Now, without too much more fanfare, I want to tell you about my favorite weight loss. When you're doing weight loss and metabolism, so much of it comes from a lack of energy. My favorite way to get energy in the system is to use the most powerful electron donor in nature, and that is vitamin C. I love the liquid vitamin C. It donates electrons to the body. When people have energy, then they become more active. When they become more active, then it's easier to lose metabolism or weight. It's improved metabolism. That's one pathway. If you're interested in a total herbal pathway for metabolism, I put together a customized formula. I made this for me and my significant other, and then I had a couple of people ask me to do that. So we do have a special herbal metabolism program called Meta Assist if you're interested in that. If you have a good pathway and you are aware of herbs that are helpful for weight loss and metabolism, please send me a message so that I can expand my education pathways. You can DM me, or you could send me an email to info@West Clinic Online. I would love to be able to help more people. About 80% of the people come in and they have too much stored energy. 20% saying they can't hold on to the energy that they need. But metabolism is basically it's such a crux for health, for happiness, for chronic disease, for energy, for how you feel about yourself. You know, I have had so many people that they get out of balance and then they start to not like themselves. And I had this experience not with being significantly overweight, but with a life coach that said, Jason, how do you feel about your life? And I said, oh my gosh, this is wrong, and this is wrong, and this is wrong. And he said, hey, I just don't hear a lot of problems that can't be resolved if you're willing to do the work. And one of the first assignments that I'm giving you is I want you to go over, get in front of the mirror and tell yourself that you like yourself. So that's such an easy assignment. I went over there. It's not as easy as he made it sound. That being said, if there's ways to help manage stress, to improve your self-image, self-esteem, if you want to incorporate an herbal approach or the electron donor approach, I'm really excited for you to be aware of your educational options. And I know I've missed some herbs. I know I've missed some things that are good for weight loss. Please tell me about those. This is Dr. Jason West. I'll see you next Wednesday night on our next masterclass, along with our free download template. If you're picking this up on a replay, remember you can get the ebook and resources at drjasonwest.live. I'll see you guys on the next masterclass.